After entering the passageway above the water, Xiao Yin and his group of 4 reappeared in another location within a few breaths. "Where is this place?" someone asked as soon as they stepped out from the pavilion by the lake, all eyes immediately alert to the unfamiliar surroundings. A strange environment was always the most dangerous. "The imperial aura here is so dense," Xiao Yin remarked, his voice steady. The aura was far stronger than anywhere else they'd been. Training here would definitely yield twice the results with half the effort, but Xiao Yin had not come here to cultivate. "Where exactly is this residence?" he asked again. "This should be the place where that powerful figure fell. I can sense a strong yet hidden presence nearby," Longi said. "Hopefully, this will help me break through the limits of my soul realm." Xiao Yin clenched his fist unconsciously. Strengthening his soul power was crucial for advancing as an alchemist, and time was running out for him to achieve this breakthrough. "The passage we just crossed must have been some sort of spatial pathway," Xiao Yin speculated. "To construct such a thing in a place like this, the owner of this estate must have been incredibly powerful." "Dad, this place feels so familiar," murmured Xiao. Ever since arriving, she had been in a daze, her voice dreamy as if trying hard to recall something. "Are you all right?" Xiao Yin asked gently, placing his hand on Shan Yao's shoulder and sending a warm energy through her. "Him." Shan Yao responded softly, though a hint of something flickered in her eyes. The place where they now stood was pitch black, a thick white mist obscuring their vision. Yet they could vaguely make out a small, conspicuous white path beneath their feet. "Xing, what's going on?" Xiao Yin asked curiously. "I don't know," Xing replied with a shake of his head. "I've been here for hundreds of years, but I've never entered this place before. Though it's safe to assume we're within the estate now." "Let's go home, Dad," Shan Yao suddenly exclaimed, grabbing Xiao Yin's large hand and leading him down the white path. "She's hiding more secrets than I thought," Xiao Yin mused silently. What struck him as odd was the increasingly dense mist around them. "Is it just me? Or is this white fog getting thicker?" Ling and Xing exchanged a glance and hurried after Xiao Yin and Shan Yao. They hadn't walked far before a simple, sprawling manor appeared before them. Enveloped in mist, the estate was massive, with a white stone gate barely visible in the distance, like something out of a mortal's dream of paradise. As they approached, Xiao Yin could finally make out the estate's true appearance. The thick white fog billowing around them emanated from the heart of the manor itself, carrying a refreshing scent that stirred the soul. Could someone be refining pills inside? Xiao Yin mused as he stood outside the manor, sniffing the air. There was a faint hint of medicinal fragrance in the mist. Being a peak first-rank imperial-class alchemist, Xiao Yin's keen senses picked up the subtle aroma immediately. At the end of the stone path, the manor's grand gate loomed ahead. Embedded within the gate was a colossal creature, its form barely visible, save for 3 legs and a pair of massive wings. But its forehead had mysteriously vanished, leaving Xiao Yin unable to identify what kind of creature it was. From the beast, Xiao Yin felt a tremendous pressure. The master of this estate must have been incredibly powerful to use such a terrifying creature as a gatekeeper, he thought, heart pounding. The gate itself appeared to be made of some unyielding material. Even with their combined strength, Xiao Yin and his group might not be able to force it open. On either side of the gate stood 2 stone lions, fierce expressions etched into their faces, lifelike in their menace. "This must be the front gate," Xing remarked. However, as soon as he spoke, Xing's face turned cautious. There were several powerful forces within the estate, strong enough to make even him feel uneasy. "There must be some treasures inside this place," Ling added, her eyes briefly flicking to Shan Yao. Although Shan Yao claimed Xiao Yin was her father, Ling had noticed that Shan Yao's memory and abilities remained intact, so she wasn't in a rush. The estate took priority, and Ling suspected that the answers to her own origins lay within these walls. "There's a terrifying seal on this gate. It won't be easy to break through," Xiao Yin said after a moment of sensing the structure. "I know a way," Shan Yao suddenly said. "What do you mean?" Xiao Yin asked, surprised. The seal on the gate wasn't something to take lightly. A single mistake could have disastrous consequences. "Dad, give me that conch," Shan Yao's small eyes twinkled as she spoke, her tone much more composed than before. Xiao Yin didn't hesitate. He retrieved the conch from his storage and handed it to her. Although the conch was an immortal artifact, it was the heirloom of the Heaven-Eyed Fish clan, and Xiao Yin didn't want to claim it for himself. However, he had no way of making the artifact recognize him as its master, so he had kept it in the meantime, waiting for a solution. As soon as the conch touched Shan Yao's hand, a surge of immense power rippled outward from her like waves in water. Drip, drip. Shan Yao gently raised the conch to her lips and pressed it against her chin. With a slight force, a melodious sound echoed from the conch. As the sound resonated through the air, the two fierce stone lions began to move, as if they had come to life. With a lunge, the lions slammed into the stone gate. Boom! The gate creaked open slightly under the lions' assault. At the same time, an ancient and mysterious force seeped out from the crack in the door. Feeling the surge of energy, Xiao Yan's face lit up with excitement. This power, could it be the soul energy of someone at the peak Earth-class Imperial realm? It seems this place might truly hold the opportunity to break through the mortal-class Imperial Soul realm, Xiao Yan thought, heart racing. Once I reach the Earth-class Imperial Soul level, advancing to a second-rank Imperial-class alchemist will be just around the corner. Boom! The heavy stone gate slowly opened, but just then, a strange force exploded from Shi Ling's body, and in an instant, she was sucked into the gate. Not good, Xiao Yin shouted, suddenly bursting into action, rushing toward Shi Ling. Don't worry, Dad. This is the power from inside, Shan Yao said calmly, just as Shi Ling vanished before their eyes. Xiao Yin had been a moment too late. Inside power? Xiao Yin hesitated, his eyes fixed on Shan Yao. At that moment, there was something particularly mysterious about her. Let's go in first, Shan Yao said, without directly answering Xiao Yan's question. She spoke softly, but firmly. The stone door slowly opened, revealing what lay beyond. What met Xiao Yan's eyes was an exquisite stone platform, and upon it, several small pedestals. On one circular stone table, there was even a pot of aged liquor. Let's go, Shan Yao said as she stepped forward decisively. Seeing this, Xixing couldn't help but feel uneasy. After all, this was the resting place of a powerful figure, guarded so heavily for a reason. Following Shan Yao, Xiao Yin felt a tremendous force pressing down on him the moment he stepped into the estate. It was an oppressive sensation, as though his very soul was being suppressed, making him deeply uncomfortable. As they approached the stone table, the group began to take in their surroundings. It was a square structure, with the main hall directly in front, the alchemy room to the left, and the study to the right. To the south was the entrance they had just come through. A study? An alchemy room? Xiao Yin was startled by the layout. For some reason, the alchemy room gave off a faint aura that deeply intrigued him. Let's go to the study first. There are things I need to clarify, Shan Yao said, her voice leaving no room for hesitation. What about Shi Ling? Xixing asked, a note of concern in his voice. She's in the back courtyard. Don't worry, nothing will happen to her, Shan Yao reassured him, noticing his anxiety. That's good, Xixing said, relaxing a little. Let's go, Xiao Yin agreed. After all, Shan Yao was the last member of the Heaven-Eyed Fish clan, and there were certainly many mysteries surrounding her. Now that they were already here in the estate, Xiao Yin wasn't in a hurry to leave. With slow, measured steps, they made their way toward the study. The characters for study on the plaque above the door were written with the elegant strokes of a master, their flowing forms resembling dragons and phoenixes. Just staring at the plaque for a while made Xiao Yin feel dizzy, a testament to its extraordinary nature. Creak. Xiao Yin, taking the lead, exchanged a glance with Shan Yao. Seeing that she didn't object, he confidently pushed the door open. For some reason, Xiao Yin couldn't shake the feeling that Shan Yao was connected to this estate. The wooden door to the study slowly creaked open, but nothing unusual happened. The only thing that greeted them was a cloud of dust stirred by the opening door. This study must be ancient, Xiao Yin muttered, keeping his hands on the doorframe as he surveyed the rows of neatly arranged books inside. Shan Yao, without a word, ducked under Xiao Yan's arms and walked straight into the study, her head slightly lowered. "Let's go in and take a look," Xiao Yan said, and Xing followed him inside. Once inside, Xiao Yan noticed that, despite the study's age, all the books were impeccably organized. Even more curious was the fact that none of the books seemed to have gathered any dust. This oddity caught Xiao Yan's attention more than anything else. The study was small, but the collection of books was vast. Thousands of volumes filled the shelves. A quick glance showed Xiao Yan that these were no ordinary books. They contained secrets that the outside world surely wouldn't have access to. Moving quickly through the room, Xiao Yan noticed 10 bookshelves in total, with a writing desk situated beside one of them. Meanwhile, Xiao had already picked up an ancient, yellowed book and was reading it with great interest, her expression constantly changing as if she had discovered something important. Xiao Yan didn't pay much attention to what Xiao was reading. Instead, he walked over to the writing desk. On it, there were some brushes and ink, along with a single piece of blank paper lying flat on the surface. However, the ink had long since dried and become deformed. "What is this?" Xiao Yan murmured, puzzled as to why a blank piece of paper was here. He slowly reached out toward it. As soon as his hands touched the paper, a powerful surge of soul energy exploded from it, assaulting Xiao Yan. "This paper, there's something strange about it." Xiao Yan, being a seasoned veteran, quickly retracted his soul energy before it could harm him. "Try using your soul power on it," Longyi suddenly suggested. "This soul energy feels like it's connected to an ancient soul vessel." "All right," Xiao Yan replied, intrigued by Longyi's words. He closed his eyes briefly, and when he opened them again, a brilliant surge of soul energy flowed into the paper. As the powerful energy filled it, Xiao Yan noticed faint characters beginning to appear on the surface. "Increase the intensity," Longyi urged, confirming his suspicions. With Longyi's encouragement, Xiao Yan channeled even more soul energy into the paper, pouring nearly half of his total reserves into it within just a few breaths. "The writing is clear now. Take a look," Longyi said, before falling silent, deep in thought. Xiao Yan withdrew his soul energy and looked down at the paper. What he saw shocked him. Whoever discovers the secrets of this study is indeed fortunate. Though the collection of books here is vast, few of them contain truly valuable knowledge. I once made a grave mistake, setting off a chain of unfortunate events. There are some of my legacies stored in the main hall, but to access them, one must first defeat a guardian in the alchemy room. If the person who unlocks this paper happens to be an alchemist, I believe you'll find something of great interest to you there. After all, it's a 4th-rank immortal class pill. The message ended there, but Xiao Yan could still feel the shock reverberating through his heart. To reach the 4th rank of immortal class, one had to first surpass the 3rd rank of imperial class. The difference between imperial class and immortal class pills was like night and day. There's actually a 4th-rank immortal class pill here. Xiao Yan's eyes burned with excitement. The 3-leaf immortal orchid he had encountered earlier had been incredibly valuable, but Xiao Yan hadn't been its destined owner. The orchid had merely used him as a means to find its true recipient. But this 4th-rank immortal class pill was an entirely different matter. After reading the words on the paper, Xiao Yan's desire grew. But as he tried to look at the paper again, the writing slowly faded away, leaving the surface blank once more. "It seems this powerful figure still has some secrets to keep," Xiao Yan muttered, deciding not to linger any longer. Looking over, Xiao Yan saw that Xiao had already flipped through quite a few books, while Xing patiently read as well. "Did you find anything?" Xiao Yan asked as he slowly walked over to Xiao. "No," Xiao replied. "I am the last princess of the Heaven-Eyed Fish clan, but even I know little about Sister Xiling's origins," she added, referencing the identity Xiao Yan had told her about. Although she hadn't believed it at first, Xiao eventually began to accept this truth as the signs became more evident. With Xiao's statement, Xiao Yan couldn't help but think that this last princess of the Heaven-Eyed Fish clan was quite intelligent. "No need to rush, take your time," Xiao Yan comforted her. Xiao nodded and went back to poring over an ancient book. "Xiao Yan, did you find anything?" Xing walked over with a smile. He had seen Xiao Yan near the writing desk earlier, as if he had discovered something. But when Xing checked it himself, there was nothing to be found. Nothing important, Xiao replied, shaking his head. Well then, let's go. Even though we didn't find any clues, I can still feel that Sister Shiling's origins are tied to this estate. I can sense it, Xiao said after searching for a while longer without results. Let's go, Xiao agreed, glancing one last time at the white paper that had returned to its peaceful state. Afterward, they left the study and returned to the stone table. Should we head to the main hall first? Xixing asked when he noticed neither Xiao nor Xiao spoke, seeking their opinions. Let's go to the alchemy room first, Xiao and Xiao said at the same time. Xixing was startled by their synchronized response. Dad, we're so in sync. Xiao said with a gentle smile. Xiao, stop calling me Dad. It always feels strange when you do that, Xiao said helplessly. Every time she called him Dad, it reminded him of his daughter Xiao back on the Doqi continent. Then what should I call you? Xiao asked, a bit dissatisfied. Just call me Xiao, he said casually. All right, then I'll call you Brother Xiao. Xiao responded playfully. After all, if it weren't for you carrying the heaven-eyed fish clan's heirloom, I'd still be asleep. Though Xiao had accepted Xiao as the savior of her clan, she still joked lightly. Whatever you like, Xiao chuckled in response. So, did you find anything while you were looking through all those books? Xiao asked. No real discoveries, Xiao replied. But I've always felt that when my father placed Shi Ling and me in the depths of that lake, it was to have the three-leaf immortal orchid and the three-headed water spirit serpent's blood nourish our bodies. Who could have expected Brother Xixing to barge in and not only take the serpent's blood, but also take us away? Still, we should thank Brother Xixing, Xiao said, casting a grateful look at him. Xixing coughed awkwardly at her thanks, clearly feeling a bit embarrassed. My memories from that time are hazy, Xiao continued, but I can vaguely sense that I've been to this estate before, and it was Shi Ling who brought me here. What? Xiao was taken aback. If Xiao and Shi Ling had been here before, then this place might indeed be their other home. And if that was true, their connection to the estate's owner must be deep. But how could they have been here as infants? This thought caused Xiao to frown. We've definitely been here before, Xiao confirmed, but I remember it as if it were a dream. A dream? Xiao murmured, deep in thought. An immortal-class alchemist, Xiao's heart sank. A terrifying thought began to take shape in his mind. What's wrong, Xiao? Xixing asked. His sharp eyes easily noticed the concern in Xiao's expression. Nothing. It's probably just me overthinking things. Xiao shook his head, trying to dismiss the troubling thoughts. If he followed that line of thinking any further, it would lead to some truly shocking conclusions. Xiao had once heard that immortal-class alchemists possessed extraordinarily powerful soul energy, so much so that implanting memories or other things within people, like Shi Ling and Xiao, could be done effortlessly. Let's check out the alchemy room first, Xiao suggested with a smile, brushing aside his earlier unease. An immortal-class alchemist's alchemy room would be an invaluable treasure. The alchemy room, Xiao said softly, biting her lip as if in pain. I remember there were many strange and rare items inside, but it also feels like something escaped from that alchemy room. What escaped? Xiao asked, his brows furrowing. I don't know, but it was strong, Xiao said with a grim expression. At least as strong as Brother Xixing. Be careful, Xiao said as his soul power enveloped him, scanning their surroundings. If something had escaped the alchemy room that could rival Xixing, it would likely be at the 8-star Do D level, a force capable of severely injuring Xiao with a single strike. Don't worry, I'm here, Xixing reassured him. The promise of the pill Xiao had offered was too important to Xixing, so he was determined not to let anything happen to Xiao, even if it meant confronting an 8-star Do D level opponent. Besides, Xiao's strength and character had impressed Xixing enough to make him want to help. I believe you'll become someone important in the future, Xiao, Xixing thought to himself. Let's go check it out, Xiao said, casting a glance at Xiao, who was standing quietly by the stone table. Xiao? Xiao called softly when he noticed her stillness. I'm fine, Brother Xiao. But don't you think this pot of aged liquor on the table is a bit too conspicuous? Xiao asked. I vaguely remember this pot wasn't originally placed here. It belongs in the main hall. How did it end up here? And look around. The stone table, the alchemy room, and the main hall are all spotless. Something isn't right. Yao's eyes glinted with a cold light. Could there be someone here? Xiao asked, confused. But I haven't sensed any presence. There's definitely someone here, but I don't know why there's no activity right now, Yao replied, her tone uncertain. Maybe it's just my imagination. Let's go in and take a look, she added, though her expression remained uneasy. No, something's off. There must be someone here. Yao insisted. According to what Yao said, everything here, except for the library, looks like it's lived in, clean and spotless, without any dust. This must mean someone is residing here, so we need to be cautious, Xiao thought as he followed behind her. The estate was divided into a front yard and a backyard. The front yard was quite small, with only about 10 meters of space between the stone table area and the steps leading to the library and the alchemy room on either side. The stairs to the alchemy room had exactly 10 steps, measuring just over a meter in total. However, unlike other doors, the alchemy room's entrance was not made of wood, but was a heavy stone door. The door was plain white, with no decoration, except for a lion head door handle, likely meant to open the stone door. What's wrong? Xiao asked as they arrived at the stone door, noticing that Yao had suddenly stopped. That thing isn't here anymore, Yao said, letting out a breath of relief. What exactly is this thing that frightens you so much? Xiao asked, puzzled. I'm not sure what it is, but it's really powerful, Yao replied. It seems like it was something the estate's owner left behind on purpose, she added with a playful tone, sticking her tongue out. Creak. With that, Yao extended her slender hand and gently pushed the lion head door handle. The stone door slowly opened. This time, Yao and Xixing were cautious. As soon as the door opened, they quickly moved several feet away, unsure of what might be behind it and wanting to stay safe. What is that? A pill fragrance? As soon as a sliver of light appeared through the door, an incredibly rich fragrance of medicinal pills burst forth, instantly filling the air. It smells so good. Yao greedily inhaled a few breaths, smiling as she spoke. It should be fine, Xiao said, his powerful soul perception quickly scanning the area for any dangers. Finding none, he reassured Yao and Xixing. With that, Xiao ignored the others behind him and began to walk into the alchemy room. Since this was the workspace of an immortal-class alchemist, the wealth it contained was likely beyond imagination. However, Xiao wasn't after material riches. According to the white paper in the library, the true treasures of the estate were in the main hall. Still, Xiao was confident the alchemy room would not disappoint. Upon entering, Xiao was astonished to find that the alchemy room was vast. From the outside, it appeared to be no more than 10 meters in size, but inside, it was an entirely different space. Clearly, the powerful alchemist had created this area for refining pills. After all, every skilled alchemist demanded strict conditions for their workspace. A good alchemy room needed proper ventilation to stoke the flames, allowing the pill refining process to go faster. It also had to be sealed to prevent any distractions during the refining process. Even the smallest disturbance could cause the alchemist to either abandon the pills or become an easy target for enemies. Lastly, the space required many jade vessels to store the pills, as they were extremely pure and could be ruined if contaminated. What a remarkable alchemy space! Xiao couldn't help but admire it. The room was at least 100 meters wide, filled with rows of wooden tables, each made from rare, high-quality wood. On these tables stood numerous exquisite jade containers, clearly meant for storing pills. Just by looking at them, it was obvious they were crafted for that purpose. The dozens of wooden tables took up about 1/3 of the space. However, Xiao noticed that all the jade containers were empty. There wasn't a single pill inside. Strange. I remember when I was here before, this place was filled with pills, Yao said, scanning the area in surprise. How could they all have disappeared? Xiao, finding nothing of note, shook his head and started walking toward the back of the room, where the alchemist would likely have prepared the pills. This is, Xiao Yin murmured as he reached the back, noticing something unusual. There was no alchemical furnace. For a true master alchemist, their flames were like their soul, and the furnace was their hands. Without a good furnace, even the best alchemist would be handicapped. The saying, "You can't make bricks without straw," came to mind. There should be a giant furnace here. Where did it go? Xiao asked, stepping in behind him. An immortal-class alchemist's furnace wouldn't be ordinary, Xiao Yin said thoughtfully. There are traces of a furnace here, but it's gone now. He eyed the small tufts of straw scattered on the floor, pondering. Could someone have taken it already? But considering how deep we are in the desolate wilderness, and how close we are to Medusa's temple, it's rare for anyone to even make it here. Medusa's tribe is notoriously difficult to deal with, Xiao Yin muttered, perplexed. Where could the furnace have gone? Well, this alchemy room doesn't seem to have anything left for us, Xixing concluded after a quick look around. Let's move on. It seems this estate holds more secrets than we imagined, Xiao Yin remarked. Shanyao, do you remember anything else? I'm sure I've been here before, but it must have been when I was still an infant, so my memories are really vague, Shanyao said, trying hard to recall. An infant? Xiao Yin shook his head slowly. Based on his understanding, Shanyao had been unconscious for decades, though likely not a full century. If she couldn't remember, this place might be even more dangerous than he had anticipated. Wait, I think I remember something, Shanyao suddenly exclaimed. There's something in the main hall related to soul power. Soul power? Xiao Yan's eyes lit up with a smile. He had sensed that there were traces of soul energy in the estate, though he hadn't been able to pinpoint its location. Even the white paper in the library had hinted at something in the main hall, but Xiao Yin had been cautious to avoid falling into a trap. Now that Shanyao had confirmed it, he felt more confident in trusting the paper's clues. Since there's nothing left in the alchemy room, let's head to the main hall and see what we can find, Xiao Yin said with a smile. Xiao Yin, I can feel it. There's something terrifying in this estate, and its presence is similar to the scent of the pills here, Shanyao said seriously, her small face tight with concern. Got it. Xiao Yin nodded, lifting his head slightly as he reassured her. Without any further hesitation, he walked toward the alchemy room's exit, ready to head to the main hall. Shanyao and Xixing followed closely behind. The estate's rear courtyard was several hundred meters away from the front. Unlike the front courtyard, which was mostly used for hosting guests, dining, and discussions, the rear courtyard was the true heart of the estate. The rear courtyard was much larger and built entirely over the water. Interestingly, while the front courtyard was paved with stone, making the estate seem ordinary, the rear courtyard made it clear. The estate was built on water. This discovery was shocking because the water beneath the estate wasn't normal. It had powerful restrictions, including a ban on flight. The energy required to construct such an enormous estate over this kind of water must have been extraordinary. In one of the rooms in the rear courtyard, thin wisps of white mist continuously drifted out of an exquisite box, slowly spreading through the building. If Xiao Yin had been there, he would have realized that this mist was the reason the entire desolate mountain range was perpetually shrouded in fog. You're so persistent, a deep, resonant voice spoke from within the room. When you were infants, you both came to this estate. Back then, I was just a mere fledgling pill, but thanks to that old man, I've become what I am today. The speaker was an imposing man, dressed in elegant robes. His angular face and refined features, combined with an air of scholarly grace, made him seem like a poet well-versed in the classics. Humph! I have no idea what you're talking about. Xiling snarled. Her hands were bound by a strange force, and the more she struggled, the tighter the bindings became. Despite the pain, which had reddened her wrists, she glared at the man seated beside her, her face a mixture of shock and defiance. As expected of Kwang Mu, a mortal master's daughter, truly remarkable, the man clapped his hands, clearly impressed. Kwang Mu, a mortal master? Xiling's clear eyes widened, as if she were recalling something from the depths of her memory. You're lying. Who am I, really? Shi Ling demanded, shaking her head in frustration and glaring at the man. Haha, it seems both you and the Heaven-Eyed Fish Clan's little princess have forgotten, the man chuckled. But that's fine. I'll capture that little princess too, and then I'll explain everything to both of you. Kwangmu, Immortal Master. Who would have thought that the 4th rank Immortal class fledgling pill you once dismissed would one day hold the lives of your daughter and the last member of the Heaven-Eyed Fish Clan in its hands? With that, the man's figure vanished mysteriously from the room, leaving Shi Ling behind. Damn it! Finish what you were saying before disappearing. Shi Ling cursed under her breath. Her large eyes darted around the room, clearly deep in thought. Why does this place feel so familiar? She wondered aloud. What is this estate? And that man's presence. His power must rival Brother Xixing's. This could be serious trouble. Shi Ling began to inspect the room, her mind racing. Back in the front courtyard, Shan Yao was feeling uneasy. This is just the front yard. Once we get what we need from the main hall, we should check out the rear courtyard. I have a feeling Shi Ling is there. All right, Xiao replied. With that, the group arrived at the main hall. The doors of the hall were tightly shut, and 2 large characters appeared on the door as they approached. Wood Hall. The imposing characters seemed to possess a mysterious power, and as soon as Xiao laid eyes on them, a sense of dread washed over him. There were 10 steps leading up to the hall. Xiao exchanged a glance with the others, his brow furrowing in suspicion. It was clear that this hall was far from ordinary. Cautiously, Xiao placed his foot on the first step. Seeing no reaction, he breathed a sigh of relief and proceeded to ascend the steps confidently. In just a few breaths, Xiao was standing at the door of the main hall. Through the cracks in the door, he could faintly see something inside, emitting a dim glow. Let me do it. I've got a strange feeling that something is watching us, Xiao said as Shan Yao was about to open the door. TSK. This human, barely an early-stage 5-star Do-D, has such keen senses. He must be an alchemist, a mysterious voice muttered from a dark corner some distance away. It was the same man from the rear courtyard, observing them. I've always despised alchemists. But what exactly is in that Wood Hall? I've existed here for centuries and never found anything amiss. Meanwhile, Xiao placed his palm lightly on the door and began to apply force. However, something strange happened. The door didn't budge. But more than that, the energy Xiao had channeled into it was absorbed. This had never happened before, not when they entered the library or the alchemy room. What was going on with the main hall? Xiao was particularly startled to realize that while his Do Qi, infused with heavenly flame, was unaffected, his soul power was being drained by the door. What is happening here? Xiao immediately withdrew his hand, frowning deeply as he pondered the strange properties of the hall. This is how it opens, I think, Shan Yao suddenly said. Brother Xiao, give me the conch. Xiao retrieved the conch from his storage and handed it to Shan Yao. The moment Shan Yao held the conch, her aura grew noticeably stronger. Instead of blowing into it, she lifted the conch high and smashed it against the door with a swift motion. Boom! The wooden door to the Wood Hall creaked open slowly under the force of the conch. It remained undamaged, but the impact had triggered its mechanism. Satisfied, Shan Yao handed the conch back to Xiao. Without hesitation, he took it and carefully watched as the door gradually opened wider. If the white paper's message was correct, the hall held great treasures, possibly even the key to Xiao advancing to a 2nd-rank Imperial-class alchemist. Hee. No wonder Shan Yao helps him so much. This human possesses the Heaven-Eyed Fish Clan's chieftain's heirloom. The mysterious man whispered to himself, still watching from the shadows. The voice of the sea, the most fearsome artifact of the Heaven-Eyed Fish Clan. But what did Kwangmu, Immortal Master, leave inside the Wood Hall? I'm curious to find out myself. Boom. The door fully opened, revealing the interior of the Wood Hall. To Xiao surprise, the room was filled with layers of thick dust, covering everything. Xiao took a few steps forward and brushed his hand across the surface of the furniture, finding the dust to be extraordinarily thick, proof that this place had been undisturbed for many years. Strange, Xiao mused to himself. The door outside was spotless, But inside the room, it's as if no one has been here for ages. Clearly, this place hasn't been entered for a long time. The hall was spacious, with a clear path running down the middle. On both sides of the path, 10 chairs were arranged, and at the head of the room, 2 golden chairs stood elevated. Behind the golden chairs was a wall adorned with a striking painting, a large cauldron with a dragon eye-sized pill inside, so vividly depicted that it looked as though it were being refined in real life. What is that? Xiao suddenly muttered in confusion, her delicate hand pointing toward a box situated on the wooden table between the 2 golden chairs. For some reason, just looking at the box made her feel dizzy. Following Xiao's gaze, Xiao noticed the box. It was about the length of a person's arm, though it was so covered in dust that the details of its exterior were obscured. Only its general outline could be discerned. Let's go check it out, Xiao suggested. It feels dangerous. Xiao tugged on Xiao sleeve, biting her lip in worry. Dangerous? Xiao was puzzled. His soul perception hadn't detected any danger, so why was Xiao so adamant? I'm just a hired hand, don't expect much from me. I'm not interested in these treasures. All I care about is the pill Xiao promised to make for me. Xing chimed in with a laugh, making it clear that he wouldn't compete for any of the treasures in the estate. His only duty was to protect Xiao until they left the desolate mountain range. Fair enough, Xiao chuckled. It amused him how cautious Xing had become. Don't go in. It's a trap? Just as the trio stood at the entrance, Long Yi's voice suddenly echoed in Xiao mind. A trap? Xiao was startled. From the moment they had entered the wood hall, he hadn't sensed any fluctuations in Do Qi, so he had stopped just short of entering. Yes, it's a trap, Long Yi confirmed. I think that's why no one else has made it this far. They were scared off by the mechanisms in place. Xiao, do you know if there's anything special about these 10 wooden chairs, or the golden chairs? Xiao asked after scanning the hall with his soul energy, but coming up empty-handed. I don't know for sure, but I can sense that there's life in these objects, Xiao said, her brows relaxing slightly as she stared at the chairs with curiosity. What do we do now? Xing, noticing the hesitation in Xiao and Xiao, asked. We've come this far. We can't leave empty-handed. I'm willing to take a chance, Xiao said resolutely. Even though there might be hidden dangers, his character wouldn't allow him to simply give up. I'll join you, Xiao said eagerly, her eyes lighting up with excitement. All right, let's do it then, Xing agreed with a grin. Although the hall seemed dangerous, with his 8-star Do D power, he wasn't too worried. Oh, by the way, Xiao, what element is your Do Qi? Xiao asked, a thought suddenly crossing his mind. Water, I think. Xiao replied uncertainly. Water element. All right, stay cautious. If anything goes wrong, retreat immediately, Xiao advised her firmly. Xiao bore the responsibility of restoring the Heaven-Eyed Fish Clan, so Xiao naturally felt a need to protect her. Got it, Xiao nodded, her gaze focused on the hall ahead. Let's move. Xiao took a deep breath and stepped forward. As soon as his foot hit the floor, a commanding voice echoed from the painting. Intruders who trespass in the estate shall be bound by wood for 1,000 years. The voice reverberated through the hall, and Xiao felt a tremendous pressure slam into his chest. His Do Qi churned wildly within him. Cough, cough. Xiao staggered, coughing as he withstood the terrifying pressure. Despite the overwhelming force, he pressed on, refusing to back down. Each step forward was a struggle, and he was still 10 paces away from the 10 wooden chairs. Gritting his teeth, Xiao inched forward, one agonizing step at a time. The pressure was unbearable, especially since Xiao was only at the early stage of 5-star Do D, but Xiao and Xing seemed to fare a bit better under the crushing weight. I'm fine. I don't need help, Xiao said stubbornly, raising her determined face when Xiao wanted to offer her some support. This Heaven-Eyed Fish Clan is truly impressive, Xiao thought, relieved to see that Xiao was handling the situation well. He had worried that she wasn't yet familiar with her power, but it seemed he had underestimated her. Every time someone tries to enter this wood hall, they face the remnants of Kwang Mu Immortal Master's power. It's no surprise given that I was created by him. A faint figure in the shadows outside the hall murmured, observing Xiao Yin and his companions. But these youngsters, they've managed to withstand this power. It seems that whatever's inside that box is worth investigating. I suppose I'll wait a little longer. Damn, this pressure is intense. Xiao Yin, Shan Yao, and Shi Xing struggled forward for several minutes, eventually overcoming the suffocating force. As they reached the area in front of the wooden chairs, they stopped, just one step away from triggering the trap. I think I have an idea, Shan Yao said suddenly. Her attitude toward Xiao Yin clearly improved after his earlier display of concern. What is it? Xiao Yin asked, his heart lifting with hope. Given the obvious danger, if there was a safer way, he certainly wouldn't risk himself needlessly. You won't believe me, but it's true. I think I can draw on some of the energy within this estate, Shan Yao said, her eyes glinting with an odd light. What? Xiao Yin was stunned. Could this estate be an immortal artifact? He suddenly recalled something his master, the Golden Dragon King, had once mentioned, and a realization struck him.